Support Ground Zero and everything we do.
My Patriot Supply is America's leading emergency preparedness company and believe it's every person's patriotic duty to achieve true freedom from our world's increasingly unreliable and fragile systems. The best way to do this is to invest in your personal liberty because you can't rely on governments or corporations for the basics of life. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of survival products. Despite these difficult times, My Patriot Supply has kept their commitment to you with well-stocked emergency supplies. They will deliver them quickly and discreetly with friendly 24/7 customer service. Stay alert and prepared, friends. Let everyone else take tomorrow for granted. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
Gentlemen, I've brought you here to discuss the Eastwood problem. It may be necessary to penetrate the Vinny Eastwood Show. The Vinny Eastwood Show. Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, I've been working on a new Vinny scene. I think that might be the kind of penetration we need.
The Vinny Eastwood Show. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live on Ground Zero Radio. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites, my fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of democide. Just because we're getting annihilated doesn't mean we can't have fun. Otherwise, what's the point? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes. And my very special guest today of all days, we are commemorating the 3-year anniversary of 2 years of torture with the man, my brother, Billy TK, on the Vinny Eastwood Show. Billy, welcome to the broadcast, brother. Oh, shoot. I have actually gotten my audio thing. Okay, welcome, Billy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be here, brother, as always, and great to see you, mate. It's good to be here. Good morning, everybody. Kia ora.
Now, we are on a backup computer at the moment, so if there are any glitchings and things of that nature, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to bear with us. We had a computer explosion during last week's show that we were supposed to be doing with Billy, so hopefully the broadcast holds out. And for everybody in the chat rooms, on the Twitch, the Facebook, and the YouTube, please let us know how the broadcast is going, and we will endeavour to do our best to try and sort out any technical issues if there are any. But regardless, 3 years ago, Billy and I were arrested for protesting lockdowns, and after 28 months of court, and I believe a 6-week ban from accessing the internet and a 6-week ban from leaving the home, where I had bail checks 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night. Well, I had a wife and 1-year-old daughter trying to sleep. 28 months of court later, after being convicted of standing within 2 meters of each other, we were sentenced to 5 months jail for Billy, and I think it was 4 months jail for me for that. And upon appeal, we instead managed to get ourselves a discharge with conviction just before Christmas of 2023, which was a heck of a Christmas present. Now, since then, the lessons that we learned during that protest was that New Zealand is a complete dictatorship. I mean, many people knew this already, but we endeavoured to go and prove it. On the way to the protest, Billy asked me, "Vinny, do you think we're going to get arrested?" I went, "Yep." And he, well, why are we doing this? I said, because there's an old saying, Billy, how do you expose a fascist? By making them act like it. And they did not disappoint. So with that being said, the amount of harm that we caused was basically zero versus the harms of the lockdowns, where Billy, I believe, had a 14-year-old girl in the area where he lived commit suicide the first day of the lockdowns. And this was why we were protesting, because they were causing a lot of harm. They were hurting people, and we didn't want to sit back and just allow that to happen. So many people have since chucked in their own 2 cents. I believe somebody sent me a screenshot, I believe possibly written by somebody else in the Truth Movement. I can't confirm or deny that at present, but for those of you on screen, and I'm going to share my screen with you, Billy, as well here, we had a little thing quoting me from that protest. This is, of course, after me saying that I had complex post-traumatic stress from being arrested by the police, saying that I had a 1-year-old daughter at home that I wanted to return home to, and of course just after seeing my mate Billy TK arrested right in front of me while we were trying to explain what we were doing in the middle of that day. Everybody cluster, 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 please now. They're about to take me. They're going to try and take me. Look now. Please cluster around me. Please protect me. Please protect me from them guys. Please protect me. Do not let them take me. No! Do not let them take me. Stand down. I do not understand. I do not understand. Please don't let them don't let them take me. Okay, I will consent. I will follow your orders. I will follow your orders. I will not resist. I will not resist. I will not resist. Now, immediately following those statements from me, I was saying things like, I do not stand under your authority. I don't answer questions. Oh yeah, why don't you do that? That's a question, and I don't answer questions. And then immediately following that, having a claustrophobic panic attack in the police paddy wagon, and immediately following that, 28 months of solitary confinement where I endured like maybe not less than 7 or 8 panic attacks. All right, that's what complex post-traumatic stress does to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I was being honest. I was afraid. This was a very traumatic incident for me, and I went into doing it despite the fact that I knew that this would happen to me. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. Now, when you're afraid and traumatized and have the courage to show it publicly, 1, people with empathy will respond with kindness, identifying their character and who they really are on the inside. 2, people with no compassion will respond with ridicule and cruelty, exposing the kind of heartless scum they truly are. Thanks to all of those in Group 1 who supported me after the arrest. You're all beautiful and valuable like gold. So give yourself some credit. I've got nothing to say to the second group except thank you for exposing what you really are. Now your inhuman ass is blocked. Billy, with that intro out of the way, I'd like you to come on and share your thoughts.
So, did someone from the Freedom Movement post that?
Possibly. It sounds eerily similar to a message that I got from one of these people, and that meme and stuff like that was created and shared by a third party, probably in support of it as well. But I can't 100% confirm that.
Okay. Well, this is the thing, right? Is that there are many people within the freedom movement that think that they think that there is some special status that we've tried to attain by speaking up and speaking out. They think that there's some ego-driven destination that we want to go on, so that we can boost our egos, feed our pride, feed our arrogance, and all these sorts of things. And they're coming from a place, really, if you really examine it, that it's envy. Envy is a heck of a thing, because envy equals covetousness, which means I want what someone else has got, which leads to bearing false witness, lying about someone. It also leads to theft. It also leads to murder. It leads to taking of someone and depriving them of what it is that you think of of such great value that you don't have, but you want for yourself. And what I saw at the Parliament protest really amazed me. I saw a whole bunch of people that I'd never seen or heard of before. You're talking February, March 2022. So this is almost 2 years since the beginning of the scamdemic, as far as New Zealand is concerned, with the introduction of the Public Health Response Act to COVID in the middle of March in 2020. What amazed me was how many people that I'd never seen before in any activity, whether it be online or protesting in person or commentary. All these so-called freedom heroes turned up on the day to speak on the platform, and I'm thinking, where do these guys come from? A couple of them were people that had ridiculed me online, and I'm thinking to myself, who are these people? And suddenly, because like crabs crawling out of a bucket, everybody's kind of scrambling to get attention, crawling over each other to get their 5 seconds of fame. And yet, the net result of that activity down there is that the police beat everyone up. They arrested well over 100 people, and the so-called freedom movement representatives didn't know how to write a declaration document around demands. They didn't know how to engage with the politicians. It was left to Leighton Baker to try and do, and Leighton is not the sharpest tool in the shed. I like Leighton Baker, I do. I think his child is a child, Chantel. I think she's a real kid. I think she's done some good work, but I think she's a baby emotionally connecting that to intellectual power to understand what we're dealing with. And what you get is these people within the freedom movement, Vinny, that will shoot daggers at you. They'll shoot daggers at me because we haven't gone anywhere. We are the same as what we were back in March 2020, February 2020, as to where we are today. And what's happened along that process is that the freedom and truth movement have abandoned the truth part, and now they've got a strange murky picture of what freedom really is and what the risks are that we face that will affect freedom. And what really stuns me today is that we have allowed the freedom movement to be infiltrated by whoever you want to claim infiltrated it, and now we're broken into 1,000 pieces. And when people come at you and go through the hassle of laying all your script out, what you said, and then to publish it in a derogatory manner, as you say, it says a heck of a lot more about them. But what happened? What we got to ask is, how many people piled onto them to tell them to grow up, pull their socks up, and actually look straight ahead at the threat that's coming down the tunnel at us? How many people climbed onto them to give them grief? Because I've had that same thing. Just 6 weeks ago, I had an ex-New Zealand Army guy say that I hadn't been in the Army, I was a Freemason, and I was funded by a secret billionaire, and that I may have been connected to the CIA. That was another one, I think. And so, in the Bible it says, you will know them by their fruits. What have been the fruits of our labours? Well, let's look at the harm part of it. It's, as Auntie Barb, I think, is online watching this, Barbara Rasmussen, Uncle Raz and Auntie Barbara right there by my side, and my wife's side and my kids' side from day one. And they'll know what it's cost me and my family. The financial part, because these 2 charges that they tried to deal to me with, costing well over 115 grand in court costs and legal fees. You've got that, and then you've got what it did to us emotionally and our family when they saw you and I led from the dock when we were sentenced and led straight into a holding cell, apparently to be transported to Mount Eden prison before we get introduced into the main prison population. That is what my wife and children thought was happening. And had I not signed that bail form before I went to court, that my lawyer, Paul Borich, had the foresight to say, hey mate, I'm not expecting you to go to jail, so don't panic, but sign this bail form just in case. And he did. I signed it, and boy, that's what got us out, mate, because I'd done it. They had and got bail. They had to give you bail as well while we went to appeal. So these idiots that make these comments think that we've done it for pride, fame, money, even money. That these are the same people that when it really hits the fan, Vinny, I'm afraid these are the same people that will end up betraying you, me, and their friends who are true to the cause and the movement. They'll end up betraying them because they don't have the moral spine for which to stand there strong with courage and be true, honest, and have integrity. Then they'll be the ones that will betray other freedom fighters like that. So that's my comment. I would say I've learned now to develop a really thick crust around my heart now. I really don't care what I'm called anymore by the public, because people like you, people like Auntie Barb and Uncle Raz, people that have met me, know me, been to my home, seen my beautiful wife and whānau, they know who we are. Golly, I'm living in a 130-year-old farm bungalow, which is beautiful, as you know. But it's a humble home, isn't it, Vinny?
Yeah.
It's and we've got a couple of humble cars out there, and we're happy with that. But people think that I'm funded by some secret billionaire, and you got to think that they're absolute nutjobs, and these are the people that have a right to be called nutjob conspiracy theorists, because that's what they are. When you see the Fire and Fury documentary now, I'm writing the script, and I'm writing. I've just finished another chapter of part 2 of The River of Lies, the New Zealand vaccine tragedy, and I'm addressing the things that were said in Fire and Fury. It's finished now. I've addressed it, but some of the people that they accuse as being outrageous and out of line are outrageous and out of line. Damien Dement, was claiming I was a Freemason while he's talking to Calvin Alp, who actually was a Freemason at the time, and trying to cast doubt upon my integrity, saying that I'm some freaky Freemason, and when I've preached against Freemasonry for years, and he goes, we've got to go in there, capture these politicians, and effing hang them from the nearest land pole. Is that really going to be the way that we're going to win this? By saying that? It's one thing to do it. It's another thing to say it, promote it, and put it out there. And that's what's destroyed our movement. I was talking to someone, rang me on Friday, had a long talk with me from NZ Loyal. So I'm very, very senior in the setup there, and I won't name who they are, but they rang me up to talk to me and get my advice about what to do with the whole Liz Gunn situation and all that. And I want to say right off the bat, I understand what Liz has gone through. I understand the meltdown that she's
You're going to have to give people context on this, Billy. First.
Yeah. Okay, there's a bit of context here. The context is that Liz closed the party down without talking to anybody, including the leaders in the party, and she's also not accounted for almost all of the money that she was given to herself. Now, I've been through the electoral thing. Now, just the context, a good context is I got accused of not declaring 2 donations, one from 2 of them from Michael Kelly, founder of Voices for Freedom and Reality Check Radio. He as you will recall, he gave me 10 grand as a gift to Corinne and the kids and I to live on, And about a week and a half later, another $5,000, and he became the chairman of Advance New Zealand. And he said, "This is for you, no, kia ora, this is for your family, and all good." What he didn't know, when he gave that to me, I actually rung up New Zealand's top electoral barrister, and I said, "Look, I've been given this money as a gift. I'm not going to use it for anything to do with my campaign because I've got no money. I need to live on it. What do I do with it?" And he said to me, "No, don't do anything with it. You don't even need to declare it. You don't in any shape or form. It's a gift. No sweat." I checked with him twice. Once when I got it and once before I did my declaration. Now, I submitted the declaration. It took me 3 times to get it right. And I finally did get it right once, because the formulas are terrible to understand. They're shocking. But what happened was Michael Kelly said that he gave me $15,000 for me, but to give to the party for me, for my campaign. And so the Electoral Commission charged me with not declaring a donation, and also for deception and dishonesty, which are terrible charges. Those are criminal charges. And so I went to court on that basis. Now, I was facing 8 charges, as you know, and I was really, really blessed. 4 of them got dismissed. 2 of the 2 criminal charges of dishonesty and deception I got found innocent of, and there's 2 admin failure charges sitting there, but they're still trying to sentence me for the deception and dishonesty charges that basically said I had received a donation when it wasn't. I got found innocent of that, and yet they're still trying to charge me. Now, that's for $15,000. Now, you go back to Liz and what they're concerned about, and they wanted to get to the bottom of, is Liz has literally got hundreds of thousands of dollars she hasn't declared in her campaign statement. She did a statement this apparently till December. She did a statement, but she's got to put another one in for the party and what she did. And she hasn't done that. Now, you're talking a lot of money. She's got no accounting whatsoever of any of it. This person was telling me, and this is a real senior person. He said they're panicking because it brings them all into disrepute. And what's happened is that the Electoral Commission will have no option but to pursue Liz for all of those breaches, and that's really, really serious. I mean, they make my charges look really tiny. That's up there with the National Party MP from New Plymouth, who's been found guilty. Well, sorry, who's been charged with it and admitted he's hidden over $180,000 worth of donations. So it makes my $15,000 that I was given as a gift look pretty blooming inconsequential. But the thing is this: the overall problem that we have with this is that when speaking to this person again, he said that throughout the campaign, Liz wouldn't listen to anyone. She wouldn't work with anyone. She wouldn't link arms with anyone. And that when they went with counterspin, that created a bit of furor, but they punched along, and now it's to where they are today. The thing is this, Vinny, is that the freedom movement has got a very, very, very tiny window of time left, a tiny window of time to come back together and to get outside of tribalism, which is what political parties create, and political groups, to get out of that so that we can aggregate and amplify our voice against what's coming. And for me, I've got to question anyone in the freedom movement that won't work with other people and that have got some sort of vile component to their characters that prevents them from actually linking arms with other people to create solutions to what it is that we're dealing with. I researched Nazism a lot. I was watching the latest thing last night that I was looking at, an old documentary about what happened, the way that the SS operated, the way that the Nazis functioned. And how they did things is that they would have their agents, Gestapo agents, penetrate people's movements that were against the Nazis within Germany. And they used them to undermine those groups to report on those individuals in the groups to the Gestapo so that they could arrest them and put a bullet in them. But they knew that wasn't enough. They could put a bullet in someone, sure, but that didn't necessarily kill the beast that they wanted to kill. So what they did was they put agents within the movements to destabilize them and undermine them. And that's what we're seeing here. That's exactly the behaviour that we're seeing. We've seen it from and I know that you've got Rebecca's a friend with Calvin and Hannah, but you've seen that exact behaviour from Calvin and Hannah. You've seen the same behaviour with Liz. You've seen the same behaviour with Damien. So what are we left to think? You've seen the same behaviour with Voices for Freedom, where they say to people, you're not allowed to go to a Billy TK event, or you're not allowed to turn up to a protest with your own placards unless they've got pre-approved Voices for Freedom messaging on it. And it's meant to be a freedom movement? Isn't freedom the freedom to actually express yourself as you want to, regardless of what your brand rules are? And so when you look at these things, I look at them, I think to myself, is it just one of them, or is it all of them that have been put there to undermine the freedom movement? Because look at what we've got today. We've got an absolute mess. It's not happening. We've got no power within the freedom movement right now. There is no unification. There's no platform, no common plank that we're standing on together. And that's why, don't be surprised that you're getting smashed like that, Vinny. I'm not surprised, because we're still here. The Māori word is tūturu. We're still true to what we are, who we are, and what we're saying. And maybe that just makes us more of a target than anyone else, because I think that's the case. Now, what I don't like to see, though, is like people jumping on anyone when they're down. You know, if Liz has had a breakdown, which I can relate to again, then that needs to be understood, and she just needs to be left alone. But she's going to have to deal with this electoral commission thing, because they're going to try and make an example of her. And I think she's getting sentenced this month for her assault charge. She's not going to get anything from that. She won't get anything from that. What do you think she might do? Maybe if she's really unlucky, she might get some community service to do, but she'll probably get home detention or something like that. She won't get anything at all. It's not like that she could have gone to prison like we could have, and it's not like she had a charge facing 7 years like I did with my electoral charges as well. So that's my thoughts anyway. That was a bit of a rant, I know, guys. Sorry about that, audience.
Well, it's been it's been building up for about 3 years there, and this whole issue is something that usually occurs with what I call the young activists. I'm an old activist, I may only be 39 years old, but I've got a significant amount more experience than anybody else in the alternative media here in New Zealand, because I was the first, and for nearly a decade I was the only alternative media in New Zealand who was doing radio, video, web, and social media simultaneously. And during that time, I'd learned a lot of lessons, a lot of very harsh lessons, actually, through other people in the movement. And it occurred to me that just because, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to listen to this now, just because you have abandoned your old life living lies, serving masters, and these other types of things, it doesn't mean that you're now all of a sudden a good person, and all the bad aspects of your personality that made you a willing slave, that made you selfish, that made you narcissistic, suddenly disappeared. Okay, you're still exactly the same person, and that comes down to track record. I'm looking at a picture of my mentor Penny Bright on the wall behind me. My walls are covered with all the things that I've done and all the things that have inspired me over time. And Penny never allowed anybody to defame her reputation without consequence. And she was a very, very strong woman. She got arrested 22 times at the local Auckland City Council. 21 of those times she successfully defended herself in court without a lawyer, without a day's legal training in her life. Okay, these are the people who mentored me into the pursuit and the exposure of truth, the amount of self-sacrifice for the good of others that people like her and other mentors I had throughout the years, like Jonathan Eisen and Catherine Smith from Uncensored Magazine and the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine, respectively. I just spoke to them recently about this. And then you have all these newcomers. They do not have the wisdom that my mentors had. They sought no mentors to upschool them on this, and that is why they potentially are still the exact same people they were before they got into this movement, why they'll keep making the same mistakes that they made in their lives previously, and why they will not listen to anybody who has more experience than them because of some perceived inferiority complex or something of that nature. It's a terrible situation because for the audience, and I believe I made a post about this previously, that when you have these public insult sessions that, say, Counterspin and Liz Gunn are having now. This has been going on for, I believe, 4 weeks now, where and I'm hearing information that Counterspin are digging into Liz Gunn's past, trying to find dirt on her and things of that nature. It makes it a really horrific situation for the audience in particular, because what you're doing is you're seeing your quote-unquote heroes acting like this, and it really makes people feel. Okay, all right, there's actual feeling there, and this is what happens in a situation, that people will no longer be operating under the realm of thought. Okay, they will be relegated into the realm of emotion for their decision making, and this is not a good thing. So, for instance, I made a post about this, where I said, when newly awakened people see their truth movement heroes infighting, 1, a portion will unfollow one or the other. 2, some will take a side and start attacking who they're told to. And 3, another group will be so put off by the drama that they stop searching for truth entirely. Right? And this is basically what is now happening within the truth movement, with the two largest alternative media outlets not any longer reporting anything about truth, about the New World Order, about the plans and how to defeat them, but instead simply trying to destroy each other. Okay, now this is why journalism in particular context is important. Who are these people? What have they done? Can you respect them for what they've done? And can you understand that people are complete? All right? There is dark, there is light, and together that is the complete person. And what stoushes like this tend to do is make people focus on one or the other rather than understanding the complete picture. And that's what frustrates people so much. That's what makes them turn off the truth in the first place. It's demoralizing. Okay, and the main point, if you are in the quote-unquote truth movement alternative media, imagine it's World War II, and you were the Allies, and you were broadcasting against Germany, and instead of broadcasting against Germany, instead of calling out fascism, instead of supporting the war effort and raising everybody into a fighting spirit, you instead spend the majority of your time attacking other allied broadcasters and sowing suspicion and discord. We would have lost the war. I mean, that's basically it. And now we're dealing with the same frickin' situation where you're not realizing that you are losing us the war. Okay, by doing this. That we're all going to get enslaved and subsequently exterminated by ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbaggery. And you think each other is the main enemy here? That you should be spending the bulk of your time on? The bulk of your consciousness? Really? You've got to be freaking kidding me. I mean, this country is tiny. Okay, there's only 5 million people in New Zealand. That's nobody. You ever seen a line, for something in New Zealand? There's like one guy. Okay, that's usually you. There's nobody here. So when you start crapping in your own nest, if everybody knows about it, okay? There's 2 degrees of separation in this country. This is why Jacinda Ardern said that you don't want to speak publicly against any of the other people who are in opposition parties to you, because you will frickin' run into these people. And there'll be all sorts of negative stuff like that. That's why she was such a quote-unquote great leader, because she knew the politics involved. And the people here in this country who are allegedly fighting for freedom, and as our mutual friend Chris Newman told us, if you're fighting for freedom, you're not going to get it, because truth is what you should be fighting for, and freedom comes from truth. You don't get truth from freedom.
Yeah, I want to jump on a couple of those points there, Vinny. One of the things you said earlier about, people that you see, again, this is where, the weaknesses or the frailty of the human condition is that when we're distressed, when we're threatened, we will latch on to whoever it is that may promise protection, advice that you can rely on, and all that thing. We will jump on to anyone and cling on to them and hold on to them, regardless of anything about them. If they say the right thing, this is what I was seeing in the freedom movement, that all these new people turning up saying exactly the same things that we were saying. Difference is, I felt they never, ever, ever, ever offered solutions of any kind. That was always a beef for me. But they were doing that. And by the way, I love the idea that people were amplifying the message. So it's not about whether it's my voice or their voice. It's the thing around them that I question, because these people were coming in and they weren't saying, right, how can we all work together? But they immediately started to act as if they were developing a franchise business. It's what Calvin and Hannah did with Counterspin. They created a franchise business. That's what Reality Check Radio have done. They've created a business that is not about the blinking truth. And people think that by listening to these organisations, especially Reality Check Radio, I've got to give Calvin credit. At least he gets close to some of the subjects he's speaking about. But Reality Check Radio, they operate at the superficial level, never really getting to the core of the issues and the issues that really, really matter. Apparently, someone said to me the other day that apparently last week sometime, Reality Check Radio finally mentioned the UN Global Pact, the UN World Future Summit in September. I've been speaking about it for months and months and months and months. I've been speaking about it. And they were saying, look, they've finally done it. Well, it's just like, well, what about when Rodney Hyde said that, we need to get Billy TK on the show about 3 months ago? and he said that to someone he was interviewing to placate them. I think it was Linda Wharton, and never heard from them. And that again doesn't surprise me. And to be honest, other than having an opportunity to get the warning message out, it doesn't bother me because I think they're a crap show. I really, really do. I think they're very shallow. I think all of the people, a couple of them are well researched. I've got to say they are. But generally speaking, it's the Voices for Freedom model where they have to operate within safe guidelines and perimeters that they consider safe, so that they don't look too extreme either way. And that's exactly the style of Michael Kelly and Claire Deeks, who I saw how Claire and Michael operated when in Advance New Zealand and the coalition there. But my point is that these people that suddenly come into the movement and people jump onto them, as you say, just because you come out and start saying these things, freedom, suddenly you're a good person, or suddenly, you're some sort of beacon. Well, look us. What have you done for the people beforehand? Before any of this, what have you done? Well, let me show you something. This here is the key to Waitakere City for being an ambassador for music. Why? Because I was working with youth, and I got given that by Bob Harvey, and it was an unpaid job that I did. Now and then I might get a call from somebody, and then this here is another mural commendation from Auckland City for a road safety youth campaign I did for 7 school years, including being a smoke-free ambassador and then eventually a white ribbon ambassador. So I was already on train serving the community and trying to express my care for the community before this COVID nonsense turned up. And so if anyone did any digging into me, really did some digging, they would have seen I've been working in the community since I was a young man myself and trying to contribute something positive. I joined the army, joined the police. I became a support person within the the voluntary fire brigade. And you don't do those sorts of things if you're not community spirited and minded. And so that's what I mean. We're sort of like, again, the crab in the bucket thing. We're going to jump on anyone if they help us get out of the bucket. And that's where we've lost it. And I really want to encourage everybody today to think really carefully about what is next, because what is coming next is gonna be far worse and brutal than what we've been through. And people aren't saying that clearly and articulately enough. They're not providing the reasons why that this is happening. Now, if I was Reality Check Radio, I would be talking about the UN World Future Summit every day. I wouldn't just mention it once last week and then there you go, I touched on it, so that's my legitimacy established. That's bull. That's nonsense. You should be talking about it every day, Vinny, on your platform. You should be, every chance you get, saying, right, everybody, September the 22nd and 23rd at the UN, we have the World Future Summit where they're planning to bring in a global consensus document called PACT, P-A-C-T. Every member state's going to sign it, and when they do, the UN has now got carte blanche to dictate how countries are going to respond to climate change, how they're going to respond to war, how they're going to respond to a public health emergency of international concern, how they're going to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, so Agenda 2030. And when they get that document signed, I reckon it's over. I do. I reckon there's going to be a full maturity of the maturing of the beast system, which I talk a lot about. And if people haven't seen my last day events presentations on my Facebook show that I did last Friday, last Sabbath, and then Sabbath a couple of weeks ago before then, you need to go and look at it, because the Bible absolutely puts its finger right on the button of every button that's about to be pushed. And this thing that we're not talking about enough, the World Future Summit and the Global Pact Agreement, that to me, and I certainly won't give up the fight, but that to me signals the end of successful resistance, because that's how powerful what it is that's coming. And unless we can wake up the rest of New Zealand, then we're going to be in big doo-doos. And the question I ask again is, where is Winston? Where is the champion of the knight in shining armour for New Zealand civil rights and human rights in New Zealand? Where is he? Where is he? I haven't seen him on this at all. And again, I'm going to have to be a little bit brutal here, but the foolishness of people who thought that the leopard had changed the spots, that the old silver fox would actually come through and pull through. You know, he ended up this, I mean, look at the promises he made. Compensation for vax injured, vax harmed New Zealanders, vax mandated New Zealanders. Compensation, gone, completely gone. Not even whispered about, gone. What was the other thing he promised? He promised the road to accountability for all those that harmed New Zealanders, them individually, gone. He promised a COVID-19 inquiry that would be completely different and have more teeth in it than the Royal Commission of Inquiry. The very first thing that happens, it gets handed over to ACT, and Brooke Van Velden, the minister who's pro-vaccine, gets put in charge of the inquiry. Good grief. And people still believe this man? The same man that is also introducing a new bill, the MedSafe drug approval bill, that means when two or more recognised drug authorities approve a drug overseas, MedSafe has got 30 days to get it into New Zealand, into the bodies of New Zealanders. 30 days. No scrutiny, no process, no testing, nothing. Straight out there. And that's Winston Peters again, approving that and wanting to see that come into light. So, you know, I can go on talking about this all day, but at the end of the day, I'm asking people to open their eyes wide open, because we can't stuff around with this, Vinny. The stakes are about to change again, and they're going to be worse than what we dealt with in 2020, except now we're going to be hit by multiple attack fronts, if you like. We're going to have the left flank covered up, the left and right flanks covered off. We're going to have the frontal attack. We're going to have the rear attack, because now now they've got so many more options on the table. Bird flu, monkeypox, COVID part 2.0. Then they've got the climate change thing. Then they've got the threat of war. And then, you know, and if that war happens, then the UN is going to impose, you know, emergency conditions around the world. They're already controlling our food. And then on top of the food issue, of course, the national government goes and approves GMO and genetic modification, ban be dropped, and now it's going to be available out in the fields of New Zealand. So unless we band together, mate, you know, we're pushing it uphill.
I think it's sort of like cards on the table. We all have to admit who we really are, what our faults are, and we need to seek atonement for the incorrect actions that we have made, if indeed those actions have caused damage. And I'm looking in the chat rooms here. The chat rooms are going absolutely off. And one thing I reminded myself of yesterday is gratitude. I want to thank all of you in the chat who are loyal listeners to this show. I always see your names there, like Tanya Bauer and WCB 99 in the Twitch chat, and of course my wonderful mod DK Spiracy on the YouTube there, and all of those people who actually work. And I realized that they were working without thanks a lot of the time, and that was my fault. It's my responsibility as the broadcaster to make sure that you guys actually do get thanked, actually do get valued and validated for what you do. Because as Billy pointed out, there's lots of very important issues going on right now that should be covered, but that hasn't necessarily been the point of the show. The point of the show has been pretty much from day one to validate, okay? To validate, yes, guys, you're right. They're wrong. All these people who call you conspiracy theorists, all the people who denigrate you and insult you because you've done research, that you know what you're talking about. That's wrong. You're right. You've been doing the right thing, and everybody else has been doing the wrong thing. Think about all that you've been through, all the insults you've suffered, all the opportunities that have been taken away from you, all the abuse, all the betrayal, all the consequential difficulties of simply waking up. Waking up in the first place to the fact that the world isn't all sunshine, rainbows, and sugar-coated cupcakes is difficult enough to deal with, and then you have to deal with infighting and the truth movement and that kind of stuff at the same time, and you've maintained your sense of humour? You've maintained your ability to sort through fact and fiction. You've maintained control over your emotions so you don't fly off the handle and just start abusing everybody left, right, and centre every time you get upset about a little something. That's my audience. You guys are, like, awesome. Seriously. I call it the panhandle. If you look at the old way of getting gold out of a river, you would put your pan in to some dirt and some muck and some sand, and you would wash water over it and swirl it again and again and again and get that sand out of there, get that muck out of there, until you were left right at the bottom of the pan with these little nuggets of gold. And that's what I've done with this show. That's what I've done with my audience. All of you are solid gold individuals. Gold has a luster and a brightness, as do you. Gold retains its value across time, and so do you. And you need to give yourself a bit of credit for that sometimes. Pat yourself on the back and just be like, good on you, DK. Good on you, Tanya. Good on you, WCB99. You have managed to maintain your discipline over yourself and your baser instincts, and you've continued to be good, decent human beings despite all the terrible things that have been thrown at you. And I want you to know that, again, you should be proud of yourself, and I want you to know that I am grateful for you and everything that you do, as I am grateful for Billy when he came along and he had no real total activism experience, not in this conspiracy vein anyway. Everybody messaged me telling me about Billy TK, how awesome he was, how I should get him on the show, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, eventually maybe that'll happen. And it became so relentless, the support for Billy TK, that I had to get him on the show, but it was only after he'd actually hired me to help him out, because he knew that in the New Zealand Truth Movement there was only one guy he really needed help from in order to run this campaign, and that was me. To be recognised for that, to be appreciated for it, to be supported for it, to be given praise regularly and all of that kind of thing. It was just like, man, Billy's the best boss I've ever had, because he's not my boss. He's working with me. I'm not working under him. We're working together and we're getting the job done. We're collaborating. That's how relationships in the truth movement are supposed to be. And he's always been there for me. He's never said a bad word about me. And so many people have come up and expressed their problems that they've had with Billy and that kind of thing. And I've agreed with them. You know, I've got disagreements with Billy about lots of things, but I don't let my disagreements cloud my agreements. You understand? It's the points we agree that we can come together and collaborate. The points that we disagree, we can leave those arguments for another time. Preferably a time when we're no longer under the threat of enslavement and subsequent extermination by ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbaggery. Now, if anybody is not on that level, okay, guys, you see the massive threat that's facing humanity here? A dark age that will last forever, and you want to prioritize your personal feelings and your personal disagreements over facing that threat together? We don't have a choice. We have a chance. One chance. If we fail, it could potentially be a darkness that mankind may never return from. An endless system of highly technologically advanced control over people's actions and their lives, and highly sophisticated mind control, which will limit their consciousness and their ability to ever wake up from it in perpetuity. That is what is on the line here. And so if I've insulted anybody, or if I've made them feel suspicious of me, or if I've betrayed anybody or something like that, I'm going to atone for that voluntarily. Because if that is what it takes to make peace, so that we can collaborate, so that we can step into the darkness, so that we can go through the breach, so that we can stand together, not separately, then whatever I have to admit, then whatever I have to face, I will do so gladly, because it's not about me, and it's not about you, it's about all of us, one and together, standing against the dying of the light. Billy, you are like a great man, and anybody who says different doesn't know you. And the Stoics have a saying that reputation is what other people think of you. Character is who you really are. And whatever anybody says about either of us, or even about Liz or Counterspin or anything like that, it shouldn't take away from what their character truly is. Because these things hurt. It hurts to have people lie about you. It hurts to have people misinterpret your intentions. It hurts to have people blindside you and insult you on their programs when you've done nothing to deserve it. It hurts, and that hurt is real, because the brain doesn't have any firewalls. Okay? You can't just look at some abusive, horrible message that somebody sent to you and not feel it. That's why I keep my block hand strong. Anybody, anytime, wishes to engage publicly with me from the point of insulting me and abusing me, I don't have any time for you anymore. I'm sorry. And if you apologize, if you take onus and responsibility, and you seek atonement, then I will reopen the channels of communication, but not before. Everybody needs to prove themselves, just as I did, just as Billy did, just like everybody on Ground Zero Radio Network has done. All of the hosts on this network have been doing it a long time. They've remained consistent. Now, I want to encourage people to go to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com and have a look at some of the things that we've got going on there. This is a listener-supported broadcast. That's the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, ladies and gentlemen. Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. And please, go to the Vinny Eastwood Show on Ground Zero Radio and start downloading the shows. The network has told us that the massive amount of support that we've had from people in recent times, where they've been going to groundzero.radio /show/the-Vinny-Eastwood-show. Okay, we'll have that up on screen for you in just a moment here. Again, with the old broadcast computer, there's things are taking a little bit longer than usual, but we do want to make sure to encourage people to go to the groundzero.radio and download the MP3s of those shows. You can do them for free, and it massively supports the network, just as it's very important for people to know that this show has has been listener supported for a very, very long time. Since 2008, we've been asking for support from the community, and the community has given it, including but not exclusive to the very recent computer problem that we had, where we needed to raise $600, and we raised that in 72 hours. All right, in 72 hours, we had enough money to pay for the computer repairs, and it's going to take some time for them to be finished and come back to us. I asked for your help, and you gave it to me, and I want all the donors and everybody who contributed, all the people who shared those posts and everything. I want to thank you so, so very much from the bottom of my heart, because it meant that I had a proof. I had proof that despite all that's happened, despite all the things that I've lost in trying to get this movement underway, I still have support out there when I need it. The fact that I can rely on you guys if I'm in deep, deep trouble to help me, it really does mean a hell of a lot to me. And for those of you who wish to continue supporting the show ongoing, I really want to encourage you to become a Patreon. If you can go to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com and click on that orange Become a Patreon button. And also, I want, if you are a donor, to claim your rewards. On that homepage it says already donated. Click here for your special rewards. And ladies and gentlemen, I would be incredibly grateful for you to come and claim your awards off me, having conversations with me. If you've got a media project or something like that you don't know how to get started, I know how to start it. Okay, I was up to 1 o'clock in the morning getting my live streaming and everything prepared for the show today. So if you need help, I will be there for you if you're a donor, and that depends, that is irrelevant of whether or not you wanted to do something in the truth vein. Okay, in any project you want, any little videos you want to make, regardless, I will be there for you if you're a donor, because you've been there for me. So we've come to the end of the show now, but I would be remiss if I didn't give Billy TK the opportunity to say a little prayer for us, because he's just so sweet like that. Thank you, brother. All right, go right ahead, Billy.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing I pray for most is always number one, that people will consider the Lord as an option for them, because I tell you what, again, you know, being raised a new age kid with parents that were into Eastern religions and things like that, and having been through the new age movement like I did growing up, nothing compares with the truth that's found in the Bible. Nothing. Yes, it is about being humble before God. Yes, it is about knowing we've got a God, the God, a God, our Father in heaven that we're accountable to. And it is, you know, Jesus said, pick up your cross daily, deny yourself and follow me. And that's what's required. And if he can turn a ratbag like me into a minister today for him, and put me in a position that I hate the things I used to love and now love the things I used to hate, then, you know, that's a supernatural conversion thing. But it's based on I'm a researcher, Vinny, as you know. I'm an investigator, and I've researched the Bible with the same sort of standards of investigation, and it blows me away what's in it. And people poo-poo it so badly because of the mainstream church have misrepresented who God is, who Jesus is, and what their whole mission is to do, which is to rescue all of us from this world of death and pain and sorrow and suffering. Yes, there's many good things in it, but the most of it now, especially in our time, is incredible pain. But it's not like the pain that they had in World War II or World War I. It's like we're sleeping on a bed of nails every day as humans in this experience. And, you know, just around the corner, there are some pretty hefty things that we have to endure. And the only way we can survive them is if we're in the ark, just like Noah was and his beautiful whānau. We have to be the same, except our ark today is not a big wooden boat. It's Jesus. And I want to encourage everyone to consider that and come to my Bible studies as well. But more than anything as well, or additional to that, is inviting people to get out of this tribalism. It doesn't matter whether you like me or whether you like Vinny or whether you like Calvin or Liz or whatever. None of that matters. What we have to focus on is coming together and deciding as one huge whānau what the heck we're going to do about what is just around the corner, staring down the barrel out of us. Now, one part of me says, okay, we know that I know that the Bible says what's coming is coming, but that still doesn't mean that we don't call evil by its name. We don't get out there and try and fight it. It doesn't mean we just surrender to it. Although we also have to have our trust in God. So I'm sort of between two worlds there. But my mission is to, number one, see people saved, but number two, warn people what's coming so that they can realize where we are in the stream of time. And what I would like to say to everybody, let's all drop the tribalism. Let's all come together and figure out, number one, who's spouting and speaking the truth? Who's actually getting to the depth of the issue here? Who is it that's got credibility? Who is it that we can trust that's not a nut job, or not trying to curate a brand or curate an image? Forget all of that. It's way past that. And we have got to figure out together, do we go down to Parliament and protest the second week of September down there on the steps of Parliament? I think that's an option. I'm working through it in my own mind and my own heart at the moment. But I'm thinking, is that an option? How do we execute that if we do? But how do we deal with it? And it's got to be education, spreading the message, but spreading a message that we know is safe, researched, evaluated, and solid, so that we can't get pinged and that guy's a nut job. And I was saying to someone the other day, actually, a friend of mine I hadn't spoken to for some time, and said to them that it's really weird now when, before TV3 closed down, they were ringing me up and getting me to offer them commentary about issues to do with civil liberties and about COVID, and they weren't trashing me. They were actually ringing me up for my opinion so that they could objectively report on it, which has never happened before with any other freedom fighter as far as I know of it. They always find a way to smash you. But no, I've got two instances on TV where they interviewed me, did it properly, and got the message out. And that's what we got to do. I don't hold back. I shoot it straight between the eyes. And it's not a curated message. But when we go into these reality check radio environments, is that you got to look at it. TNT Radio, who I've been working with, are just absolutely incredible. TNT Radio, TNT News, they're right up there with GB News, and they are just absolutely the best, Vinny. They deal with all the issues, get to the core of it, they're onto it, they don't care, and yet they've got the slickest brand, they've got the slickest presentation, the slickest media and broadcasting setup, and they're worldwide and they're awesome. That's what reality check radio should be. They shouldn't be looking at, well, I don't like Billy, or the founder doesn't like Billy, because the founder got found out to be a liar in a court of New Zealand law. They should be saying, well, actually, what has Billy got to offer the education process of the masses out there? What has he got to offer? Is what he's saying substantiated? Is it solid? And if they knew anything about me, they would know that it is, because I'm not going to stand out there, hang myself out to dry and get something wrong. Even though it may happen from time to time, I doubt, I've gone through too much now to make that mistake again. So, reliable data. But no, if people could let me know what they think about what we should do about this global pact that's coming. It's bigger than the mandates. It's bigger than the vaccine mandates. And again, why aren't people talking about this? But this is worse than vaccine mandates. This is worse than the Public Health Response Act, because it is a global dragnet that our government will respond to favourably. So also, I'll be live tonight, whānau. I'll be live tonight at 7:30, going over some important stuff with you as well. I believe this is a one-term government. I believe that the communists will be back in the next term, and I believe between now and then, though, we've got some pretty horrible things that are going to come into play. Of course, the government's announced that the central bank digital currency program won't go live till 2030. I don't believe that at all. I believe it's going to be much sooner. We've got electricity power crisis right now. We had, during the night here up north, we had 3 power outages during the night, Vinny. Not 1, not 2, 3 power outages. And they're saying, in the text that they send you, they're saying there was no line fault, they just had a power outage. Well, that means there's a shortage of power, and that goes hand in hand with that gazetted announcement the other day saying that they're preparing for national outages. So I'll be talking more about that tonight. Please also don't be shy to support me in the work that I do as well, because, strangely enough, I think people think I'm wickedly financially supported, and I'm not. Every week is a new struggle. So if you can donate, I'll put my account in the chat there, Vinny, if you want to put that up at some point. I certainly would be grateful for your support, even with things like, my phone bill and broadcasting bill would be help with that as well, just the basics. All right, that's it from me, mate. Bless you heaps, and love you, brother, and you know that. And pray for you and Alina and little Alfie, and keep the fight going. He whawhai tonu waki ki a koe. Keep on fighting, mate.
Cheers, brother. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show at thevinnyeastwoodshow.com. We will see you again sometime very, very, very shortly. All right. That's enough from me. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again sometime.
Gentlemen, I've brought you here to discuss the Eastwood problem. It may be necessary to penetrate the Vinny Eastwood Show. The Vinny Eastwood Show. Yeah, that's what I said. Well, I've been working on a new Vinny scene. I think that might be the kind of penetration we need. The Vinny Eastwood Show. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live on Ground Zero Radio.